A new week begins for LSU Fighting Tiger football.
Pressure comes, he unloads, and intercepted! Derek Stingley's got it in the end zone!
This is the Coach O Press Conference.
We look forward to seeing our guys today on Tell the Truth Monday, getting back to playing LSU style of football.
Coming up, Coach O sets the tone for this week. But first, from inside the Capital One studios on the campus of LSU, here is former Tiger Gordy Rush and the voice of your Fighting Tigers, Chris Blair.
Once again, we greet you on a Monday afternoon, headed into another LSU Fighting Tiger football game coming up this Saturday. We'll talk plenty about that coming up. Central Michigan coming to town. Kickoff at 6:30 inside the big building across the street. We'll have the coverage for you, of course, on network. But going back to this past Saturday, home opener, LSU welcoming McNeese State. Plenty of storylines. We told you about them last week. But Gordy Rush, when you look at the game, the final score 34-7, we talked about the family ties going into the game. What's the biggest storyline for this football team coming out of Saturday's win?
Well, I think that in the positive column, I thought defensively they made some adjustments, and for the better part of the game when it counted and the starters were on the field, LSU held McNeese under 100 yards, and that's what you expect. You expect LSU to dominate McNeese. I think on the flip side, the offense is still sputtering, and the offense is trying to find its identity. And, that was not the sort of performance I think you used to with LSU playing McNeese. So still some work to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that's what we talked about on the air was there would be, that opening series, or I should say the scoring series for LSU looked good. They went back to tempo. They looked very well in control with that tempo, marched right down the field. The connection from Max Johnson to Trey Palmer, they're on the board. That looked good. And then there were a couple of possessions where, things were not as crisp. And that's kind of what we touched on last week is getting that consistency. Now, part of that is, again, there were a lot of rotation at offensive line. They were short there. There were guys playing not their traditional positions. But you got to find a way to make that work. I'm sure Coach O is going to say that later. I mean, we got to go with the guys we have. But there's some of that continuity you just don't see there yet that hopefully you're going to see starting this week before you head into conference play.
Yeah, on the offensive line, you had 4 new starters, and LSU struggled to run the football against a McNeese team that was a little undersized, and something even the backups for LSU should have had a little bit more success, I think, getting a little bit of push. And in the passing game, again, you just getting everybody on the same page, running with some tempo, being able to execute. I think when Max was able to get protection and get rid of the football and get a good pass, and there were some drops. And again, cleaning up the protection, getting more accurate play out of the quarterback, and catching the football and getting everybody on the same page.
We joked Saturday night, and you and I can afford to joke, and Doug Morrow, the coaching staff certainly won't joke about it. But they gave up the touchdown late in the game. The defense really looked like they played well enough to hang the shutout. So they're probably going to talk about that drive and that pass that Carlos Williams able to score, I think, from 44 yards out. But overall, defensively, they came away with 8 sacks. Cody Orgeron has been very successful. I think somewhere around 291 yards passing what he was averaging over the last 4 or 5 ball games. Going back to this past spring when they played, and also is normally known to get some yards on the ground.
Right.
That just wasn't there. I mean, he would take the snap, and LSU was all over it.
I thought LSU did a better job of getting after McNeese State a little bit against UCLA, especially in the last 3 quarters. I think they played a little bit more base and kept the ball in front of them. Of course, UCLA had something to do with that, with some of the things they were doing. But LSU was more aggressive. I think we had 7 sacks. LSU had 7 sacks in that game, and very disruptive in the run game. So McNeese was never really able to get much started.
Well, you mentioned it. I mean, it's hard to compare UCLA to McNeese State. But what I kept looking for from the booth was our guys in positions to make plays. Now, whether or not McNeese can make them pay or even challenge them, how did they protect the middle of the field? How was coverage on the underneath stuff? Again, some of that was because of the pressure. There wasn't time for Orgeron to even throw it. But those were some of the things you were just looking at. Are they in the right position? And from a communication standpoint, again, it's not UCLA. You're not on the road. It's not a road environment. still looked like there were some improvement there.
Much improved from a week ago at UCLA. And keep in mind, McNeese didn't move and shift and motion quite as much as UCLA. Not the amount of eye candy that you saw at the Rose Bowl. And I'll tell you, the guy next week, McElwain's famous for shifting and doing these type of things. But I think Coach Jones, coming from the NFL and where defensively, if the offense adjusts, usually you're able to audible and make a change. And maybe they were a little too complicated against UCLA. And just to simplify things, get people lined up, and don't beat yourself. There were too many big plays against UCLA. You really didn't see those big plays when it counted against McNeese.
Let's take a look at some guys who really stood out. And, as opposed to week number 1 where, again, the focus is on the loss and the way it looked. This past week, you're looking for some of the guys to make plays you expect to make plays. I'll start with Max Johnson. Again, his number's not going to jump off the page to you, but pretty good completion percentage. 167 yards, I believe, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. And for me, it looked like he made the right decisions, did what was asked of him. Again, that consistency you're looking for. But overall, I think you'll take those numbers from your quarterback in a game where you're playing McNeese State.
Well, I think they tried to establish the run also. Spent a lot of time after not being able to run against UCLA. That they spent some time running the football. I think the hard thing about those numbers, Tiger fans saw the last 2 games of last year against Florida and against Ole Miss, in which Johnson lit it up, and that came in. I think the expectations were, especially with this receiving core, that they were going to be off the charts, and so that number, along with it being McNeese, I think we're talking SEC play, and you're talking about a W. Yeah, a game like that, I think expectations might have been a little higher.
Talk about the running game. Again, a little bit better. Still not gangbusters running the football. But we did get to see the 2 younger guys. And Coach Ogeron sat here a week ago and said, hey, we got to find a way to get those guys in the game. For whatever reason, they weren't ready. We didn't want to put them out there against the Bruins, but we would see Goodwin and we would see Kiner in the game. Goodwin, the big 21-yard run, seemed to tweak his ankle, had to come out. He eventually would come back in, but didn't look like he was fully healthy in the game. And then Kiner, throughout the game, especially at the end, had the big rushing touchdown, looked great. Good field vision, got to the hole, made a few cuts, picked up his first career touchdown. And Ty Davis-Price had a 21-yard run that set up a score for LSU. Your thoughts on the running backs?
Well, I like what the freshmen showed during the fall camp. You and I had a chance to see a scrimmage, and Goodwin was probably the best back in camp. Of course, he got a lot of reps. Ty Davis-Price missed both scrimmages, and John Emery just played in one of them. So he got a chance to show what he could do. And we got a little glimpse of that. Chris, he is really, really quick. He can get to the edge, and he has a tremendous burst. What I love about Kiner is he really hits the hole. He is physical, and he has great vision between the tackles. We saw a little sample of that. So it'll be interesting. First off, we'll hear from Coach and see what happened with Goodwin's ankle. He rolled it twice. They finally shut him down for the rest of the game. We saw a little bit of Kiner and Williams. But what's the rotation going to be, and is Goodwin going to be ready to go?
All right, let's talk about the wide receivers, and it's a great segue to talk about Tabasco. Don't forget, Tiger fans, you can spice up and heat up your game day with Tabasco, official hot sauce of LSU athletics. Kayshon Boutte, all right, going back to the final 3, maybe 4 games, certainly the final 3 games of last year, suddenly he arrives and everybody goes, okay, this is going to be the next great LSU receiver that will have a great career here and then move on to the next level. He's got 5 receiving touchdowns now. He had 2 on Saturday night. And maybe Trey Palmer's the guy that I'm looking at that suddenly last year kind of got lost in the shuffle. He had that big kick return against South Carolina, but from a receiving standpoint, as the season went on, it almost appeared like you saw less and less of him. Big moment for him getting the first score on Saturday night and showing he's maybe – he and Boutte may be the 1 and 2 guys.
Well, Trey Palmer's been the number 2 guy for LSU this season. A little bit of a surprise for me, but tremendous talent, right? Everybody knew how fast he was and he could play, and they're just so deep at that position. I mean, Jerry Jenkins has showed some glimpses of what he can do at times. The 5 freshmen that you and I had a chance to watch in the scrimmage that was 2 weeks before the opener, they're unbelievable. I know Brian Thomas had a drop or 2 drops in this football game. He is a tremendous player. Do not sleep on number 11. We've yet to really see Malik Neighbors. Chris Hilton didn't dress for this game. We'll see if Coach addresses that. Chris Hilton is a state champion a year ago at Zachary High School in the 400. And you go on and on. Deion Smith, they've they've got Jack Besh. We forgot about Jack Besh, and there you've got yourself a real interesting. I think it's interesting in terms of personnel group, and you've been playing him at the tight end position, but you've had some struggles in pass protection. So, what do you do there with Taylor and Jack Besh? 5 outstanding freshmen, so plenty of weapons for Max Johnson and these LSU quarterbacks.
As if anybody had any doubt, coming in, Jack Besh, we were told, is a guy that will be able to stretch the field, which there's no doubt he can do that. But what I really like to see, and even his quarterbacks talked about it after the game, even if they get it to him underneath, if they get it to him on the run, I mean, he's number one pretty quick. Number two, he's not going to go down easy. And he's had a couple of big plays where he's made yards after the catch. And to me, if he's a guy that you can send deep and a guy that can make something in the short yardage stuff, I mean, that's a big weapon to have.
He played wide receiver at St. Thomas More, and he was an absolute beast. I mean, crushed it. I remember seeing him play against Catholic High a season ago, and getting out wide, he could beat you deep and just out-physical you. And it's that physicality, I think, that has attracted LSU to move him down into the tight end, H-back, whatever, Y role, if you want to call it that. And now he is such a threat after he catches the ball because he is physical. He is a mismatch problem. If I'm a defensive coordinator now, with all the other problems that I have, you have the speed of Palmer. You have all these freshmen there yet to see, but certainly they know because they all recruited these kids. We talked about what number one brings to the table. Hey, Coy Moore is a heck of a player. Who's going to guard Besh? If you're going to put a linebacker or a strong safety run support type of guy on Jack Besh, that's a huge mismatch in LSU's favor.
We got a break coming up, and I got to mention these guys. Number one, Mason Smith.
Wow.
Again, watching him in scrimmages this fall, it was like 6'6", nearly 300 pounds. He just looks different when he's on the field. But really had a chance to eat pretty good on Saturday.
He is unbelievable, and I know they've used him on third down packages. That's how they started against UCLA. Played. You're going to play more in this football game. How long is it going to take before Mason Smith's an every down player? I think they've got to get his pad level lower a little bit in the run game, but rushing the passer, he is an absolute beast. Chris, I walked by him on the sideline. Woof. You said he looks different from your place. You ought to see in person.
No thanks. Hey, real quick, when you set records, we got to talk about you. And Cade York, the longest field goal in LSU football history last year with a 57-yarder at Florida, comes in the game on Saturday, gets a 55-yarder. Suddenly we're told that's the longest in Tiger Stadium history. And then not to be outdone or finished, he finishes up with a 56-yarder. Now the top 3 field goals in program history owned by Cade York.
I was under that goalpost at Florida and saw when he hit that game winner in the fog and still had probably 8 or 10 yards on it. That's the scary part. He can go deeper than 56 or 55.
All right, we'll put that to rest. 34-7. LSU gets to 1-1 on the season. They've got Central Michigan coming up this Saturday, again with the kickoff at 6:30. This note, we'll mention it when we come back. It was announced earlier today that the SEC opener in Stark Vegas going to kick off just after 11 a.m. That's right, fans. Make plans accordingly. We'll be back, talk about the Chippewas, and then later at 12:30, Coach Ed Ogeron will take the podium and set the tone for this week. Back in a moment, it is the Coach O press conference presented by Hancock Whitney right here on the LSU Sports Radio Network.
Do you have Medicare and make less than $1,615 per month? Or do you have Medicare and Medicaid? You may be eligible for extra benefits you're not getting now, and you may be able to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan from People's Health. Don't wait. If you enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan from People's Health today, your benefits may begin the first day of next month. Call 1-855-410-7761. That's 1-855-410-7761. People's Health, your Medicare health team.
Your team is on a 3-game winning streak, and you're convinced it's because you've worn your lucky football jersey and haven't taken it off. Not for work, a wedding, or even bathing. With Cox, you can actually wear it all season long because we give you game day coverage and content 24/7. So join us and dress accordingly.
Hey, Tiger fans, just say Fan Zone into your Contour voice remote and enhance your game day experience all week long. Play games, win prizes. Cox, we're LSU fans 24/7.
It's time we all get back. It's time we all get back to more one-of-a-kind Saturdays. More rockin' jam-packed stadiums. More of what makes the mighty Southeastern Conference so much more. Team up with the SEC and learn more about the COVID-19 vaccination by going to GetVaccineAnswers.org. The SEC backs the vax because it's time we all get back to more. Go to GetVaccineAnswers.org. The SEC. It just means more.
Hey, Tiger fans, this is Chris Blair inviting you to become part of our LSU Athletics podcast world. For the very latest on the Tigers, whenever it's convenient for you, catch Cody Worsham and number 18, Jacob Hester, for the Hey Fighting Podcast, a look inside LSU football. Join me and hear from some of the great voices of college sports on Hearing Voices. Get up to speed on the Tigers' next opponent with LSU Recon, plus replays of the Ed Ogeron Show and many more. Find them all at lsusports.net/podcast, on the LSU Sports mobile app, and anywhere podcasts can be found. Subscribe today.
Leading you up to this week's Coach O press conference. Here again are Gordy Rush and Chris Blair.
That's right. This Saturday, back in action, Tiger Stadium, Central Michigan. The Chippewas coming down, and not a completely unfamiliar foe, Gordy, simply because the head coach, Jim McElwain, of course, Tiger fans know pretty good from his time at Florida. Chippewas come in 1-1 on the year. They lost a close one, 34-24. They were in that game, to be sure, against Missouri to open the season on the road. And then last week they beat up a guy by the name of Robert Morris, 45-0. So what do we know, or is there anything to expect differently from a Coach McElwain team?
No, Jim McElwain's a fantastic coach. Of course, at Ogeron, Jim McElwain had some battles when going back to when Coach O was the interim coach. In LSU, I remember that game here, the Florida one in Tiger Stadium. Jim McElwain went to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and won at least the MAC West his first year. Went 8-6. How about that record? Went 8-6 in his first year. They went 3-3 in a shortened COVID year a year ago. They're projected to be the number 4 team in the MAC West preseason. Good running football team, and that's what McElwain did well at Florida. He was able to bring a little physicality back to the Gators. They ran the football well. Didn't always throw the football necessarily well when he was the coach there. A lot of shifts, a lot of movement, a lot of jet sweep stuff. He's got some good skilled players. He's got Khalil Pimpleton, Virginia Tech transfer, 5'9" wide receiver. He's got a little juice to him. Lou Nickel is his running back, kind of a bell cow running back with that. But they've been a little one-dimensional. And the big storyline up at Central Michigan this season was Jacob Sermon was a transfer, 6'5", 240-pound pocket pro-style quarterback that came from the University of Washington. So just his 2 games into the season, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, mixed bag against Missouri in the opener, and they didn't really ask for him to do too much in that game against Robert Morris. So he's, to me, on film, he's a traditional drop-back quarterback, but Chris, he's somebody with not great feet, doesn't move well, and I think LSU can get after and put some numbers up there to try and stop the Central Michigan run game.
I looked back and watched some of the film in that first week against Missouri, and then looking at the numbers so far on the year, as you pointed out, Coach McElwain, usually pretty balanced. I mean, he wants to establish the run. I think 218 yards per game on the ground, like just a tick above 200 through the air. But just watching what they did, it made me think that in this matchup, this coming Saturday for LSU, it's not going to be exactly UCLA, but it is a team that if they find success running the football, they're not going to go away from it. So LSU is going to have to stop the run, something they struggled with in week 1.
There's no question. You're going to see McElwain take Chip Kelly's game plan, a lot of movement, and I think he's going to copy and paste. Coach O?
All right, let's go to Coach O.
Down to LaRose, my hometown. They met a lot of people there at the Civic Center, the people in need of supplies. And I want to thank the administration for sending that down there. It meant a lot. I was going to go down there. Me and Steve Ensminger was on a helicopter. They had to turn around because the weather was bad. So we wanted to be there, and we were there in spirit. I want to thank our student body for filling up the student section. Wow, what a great feeling. And all our fans on the Tiger Walk, Saturday night in Death Valley, our freshmen were fired up, coaches were fired up, and I want to thank all our fans, all our students for bringing the energy. A little bit about the game. We wanted to improve on the run game. We did. We ran the ball outside. Several players got the football. So I was pleased with the improvement that we saw in the run game. You saw 2 freshman running backs who I think are outstanding, and you'll see more of them. Along with Ty Davis, I thought he ran the ball well. We got a lot out of a running game and more to get later on. We still have some ways to go in protection. We still have a ways to go in tempo and the way we approach the line, and we're going to fix that this week. And also, we need to improve on third down. It's a combination of routes and protection. On defense, what an outstanding job. Held them to 51 yards rushing, 8 quarterback sacks, tremendous pressure. Special teams, Cade York broke a school record twice, 55 and 56-yarder. So really pleased with that. On to Central Michigan, spread offense, very well-coached football team, a physical football team. 242 yards per game rushing, 34 points a game on offense, a really good offense led by a strong offensive line, really great protections and schemes. Jacob Sermon is their quarterback. Lou Nichols is an outstanding running back. Khalil Pimpleton is an outstanding receiver. On defense, they run a 4-2-5. They're led by Troy Harrison. He plays like his hair's on fire. He's all over the place, makes great plays. Devon Reed, free safety, outstanding player. All right, Tell the Truth Monday. Here we go. Any questions?
Yeah, Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag. We're hearing that John Emery Jr. may be out for the year because they registered him in a wrong class. What's his status right now?
Yeah, John Emery is out the year, and my saying he's unavailable.
Hey, Coach, Jared from TigerDetails.com. I was going to ask about John as well as status updates on Armani Goodwin and Trey Bradford in that backfield. It seems like a lot of shuffling potentially.
Yeah, I do believe that Armani Goodwin's questionable for this week, and it's a shame because I think he's an outstanding running back. Trey Bradford, as I know, will be eligible for the game. We'll have to see how the week goes, and hopefully we can play him this week.
Hey, Ed, you mentioned the tempo. I'm just curious, what do you think the kind of issue is there? Is it a coaching decision to kind of like work to be a little slower, or is it the players aren't ready? I'm just curious kind of what the hang-up is.
Yeah, I think it's more of, we're trying to look over, get the perfect play for the perfect defense. And we had a discussion, and we're better off sometimes going what we call warp, go fast, and attack the defense. And we're going to practice that this week.
Ed Daniels in New Orleans. Do you think, I know Goodwin looked like he turned his ankle, but him and Kiner give you a little bit of that burst that maybe they can make something happen when holes aren't there, and because of that, do you think that warrants more playing time for both of those guys at some point?
Yeah, I do believe that they need to touch the ball more. And that's the same thing, Ed, I saw in camp. Those guys are dynamite, man. And I think that both of them are going to be great backs. Now, we also like Ty Davis. He runs the ball well. He's a bull in there, can run inside, outside. We need to use all 3 of those backs.
Hey, Coach, this is Josh Sibley with Louisiana Gridiron Football. With as many drops as we're seeing by the number 2 and 3 receivers, did they spend time catching the 11,000 balls over the summer, or is this just a timing issue with them and the quarterback?
Every one of them caught 10,000 balls, and they did it. And we had the fewest drops we had ever since I've been here. We registered those drops in any camp we've been in. So that came to me as a surprise. So we're going to go back to the fundamentals, go back to see why they're dropping the ball. Some of them were right on the money. It's their eyes, their hands, what they're doing with their technique, and we'll go back to technique and also catching balls after practice on the jug machine.
Hey, Coach, this is Glenn West with LSU Country. Just doing some quick research on Central Michigan. It looks like they have some pretty dynamic runners. How much are you keen on the running back this week for that game, and just how you think the defensive line will respond to?
Well, yeah, I think they run the ball very hard. I think they make yards after contact. They hardly go down on first contact. From the games I saw limited film this morning. I watched their first 2 games. I think their offensive line is very good. They have great schemes. They run all plays that normal people are running nowadays, but they attack you. They play fast. The offensive line comes off the ball well, good zone scheme, and the running back run the ball very low and hard.
Hey, Coach O, Garland Gill and Fox 8 in New Orleans. When you recruited Mason Smith, you knew he was one of the top players in the country. You told us this summer that he was going to contribute right away. What did the film say about his 3-sack performance against McNeese State?
Outstanding. He had a little arm over. I thought he rushed the passer very well against UCLA. He had some great moves in there. And we're using him on third down now. He's getting better against the run. He has a minor injury that, he's still playing with, but he's got some bumps and bruises. But the guy is a monster. Cody told me, he said, Daddy, when my eyes came up, all I saw was number 0 every time. So.
Hey Ed, Adam Hunsucker. With the offensive line kind of being in flux right now due to some injuries, what are the status of the 3 guys you're missing up there? Do you expect to have them back this week?
Yeah, I expect to get Jason Hines back for sure. Austin Dexter, maybe. We have to see how the week goes on. And Cam Wire is out for the game.
Hey, Coach, circling back to after the game Saturday, it just seems like the players were adamant about there's still a gap in them playing to their potential. What do you need to do to bridge the gap to get them playing to their capability?
Well, I think practicing, scheme, coaching better. I do believe that we have the athletes on offense that can go. It all starts with protection first. That's mainly where our breakdowns have been. Now, the wide receivers missed a couple of balls, but those guys are fantastic. I do believe that we can get the ball to our playmakers better in space and let them play. And hopefully we can make some improvement out this week.
And whenever you get to Central Michigan this weekend, is there a plan to get Garrett Nussmeier snaps in the game as well?
We'll see. We'll see how the weeks go by. I thought Garrett did well. Max is our starting quarterback. I thought he did some good things under some tough circumstances sometimes, but he did a great job. Garrett brought a spark to us. I like Garrett. If I can play him, I'm playing him.
Hey, Ed, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. When it comes to tempo, is that something that you kind of have to just make happen, or do you have to be having positive yardage in order to play fast?
Well, both. Both, obviously. You got to make it happen. I think that we had a discussion this morning, and we looked at some things that we've done in the past, how we've done it. We're going to practice it better. We're going to have a session of tempo every week, every day this week, and we're going to push it more.
Hey, Coach, good morning. Can the communication be improved between compliance and you guys in terms of things like John Emery, or people are wondering how did that happen,
Well, I think compliance, I think that academics do a great job of communicating with us. We meet with academics every week. So that's all I'm going to say about that, but I think they do a great job.
Hey, Ed, we talked to Cade, of course, after the game, and obviously he had a tremendous game. How far out would you be comfortable with letting him try a kick? Obviously, if it's a desperation situation to tie the game or win it, and it kind of depends on the situation of the game. But how far out do you think he could legitimately try one and make one? Those look like they make it from 60. Saturday.
Yeah, I tried 60. It all depends on the game and how it's going. We wouldn't want to do that stupid. But if we had a nice shot at 60, I'll let him try. I think he deserves it.
Hey, Coach, Matt Trent, WBRZ. I've got 2 for you. First one, what's the status of Chris Hilton this week? I've noticed he didn't dress on Saturday. Just didn't know if there was anything serious injury-wise. And number 2, I don't know if you caught the Saints game yesterday, but their offensive line seemed to kind of soothe all of the doubts that anyone had with their offense. I mean, do you think that that's kind of the same thing with you guys? Do you get this offensive line figured out and it's going to have a ripple-down effect with the rest of the offense?
I think so. I think you're right. I didn't watch the Saints game. I was too busy watching our game and studying. But anyway, Chris Hilton is going to be questionable. I do believe that the offensive line has to gel. We have to help them out. The offense is not performing like we want them to perform right now. That's obvious. I got to do a better job coaching. We got to get some things wrinkled out, get them fixed up, and I think we will do that.
Hey, Ed, it's Ed again. Do you think the UCLA game at all maybe rattled the team's confidence, or do you think this is still like a very highly confident group right now?
Yeah, I think they're confident, Ed. I think it showed that we have to get some things fixed. It showed our weaknesses. I like when you play a good team they show you weaknesses. Thank God we found out what our weaknesses was so we can fix it at the beginning of the year. And I think all those things that happened in the UCLA game, we're working on fixing it every week. I'm running UCLA plays again today because I know we're going to see it. And the mistakes that we made in the UCLA game, some of them got fixed on defense. Now, we played a lower-tier team that wasn't as talented as the offensive line. I understand that. But we have to continue to fix those things because we're going to see them again.
Hey, Coach, it's Michael Cobble. Right around the corner from you here. I was just curious about two things. The check with me, you talked about tempo earlier.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys can eliminate? Because it does seem to be stifling, the tempo and the flow of the offense.
Yeah, we're gonna minimize the check with me's. I can't give them a whole game plan, but you know what? It does give the defense a chance to change their defense. We've been checking with me, and they have changed their defense almost every time. So we have to look at it. We have some mechanisms which we're going to put in this week to fix that.
And my other question was, so many guys in street clothes this week made me think that maybe, it was an issue, and you don't necessarily need to address what the issue is, but is it correctable? Is it a one-time thing, or will you be able to? Is it going to be like that, for a Central Michigan game?
As far as the guys most of the guys on that didn't play were for injuries. Most of them, not all of them. And some of them will get back this week, some of them were not. Now, John is unavailable all year. He's the only one right now that's unavailable all year.
Coach, your interim year in 2016, you had a guy wearing 13 named Dwayne Thomas who was making plays all over the place for you, and now he's part of your staff. It seems like he's always, when we see him, upbeat and happy to be there. I know he's just an analyst, but what kind of future do you see for him?
Phenomenal. Outstanding young man. Love him. Very loyal to LSU and the program. He's a great communicator. Does a tremendous job recruiting. He knows everybody. Outstanding coach. He was an outstanding player for us. And I do believe when he gets his chance to coach, he's going to be great.
Ed, going up against Jim McElwain again, what memories does that kind of bring back of 2017 where you're coming off that loss and get that big win?
Well, those tough games. Both of the games that we played came back down to the final play. One we won, one we didn't. And, I remember that Florida game, we didn't play very well. That was my interim year. We fumbled the ball. We made a lot of mistakes, but we still had a chance to win on the last play, and we all know what happened there. And then we went back down to Florida. It was, I think it was the game after the Troy loss. And the field goal kicker missed the extra point. We won the game. Very tough games. Both of them came down the last play.
Thank you.
And I know you addressed John, but just to clarify, is there any way that he'd be able to play this year? Or is that absolutely definite?
Who's that?
Just to clarify with John, is there any way he'd be able to play, or is that definite?
Well, right now, he's unavailable. Now, things could change. If they do change, we'll play him. But right now, he's unavailable. Could they change? Yeah. But that's out of my control.
Hey, Coach, this is Shea Dixon. How tough is it to find continuity on the O-line with guys missing? And did you think any of the young guys looked good on film after watching the game?
Yeah, I thought the young guys fought. I thought Marlon Martinez fought. I thought Xavier fought. I thought they made some mistakes. But I thought they fought, and now they can go in the game in a backup role. I don't think they're ready to start yet every down, but at least they went out there and they fought, so I was pleased with that. But we need continuity. We need everybody back. We haven't had it the whole camp.
Hey, Coach, I guess with Armani Goodwin, we saw him go out last week, and I think you guys said he's probably going to be okay. Do you expect him to suit up this week? And then also wanted to ask about Trey Bradford and his status for this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have Armani this week. He's questionable. Hopefully we can get him back from Mississippi State. And as far as I know, I didn't check, but I think Trey Bradford will be eligible this week.
And Cameron Lewis is a guy that's been in this program a long, long time, and he made the most of his opportunity Saturday. Just what can you say about that guy? Waiting his turn, finally getting started, and rising to the occasion.
So proud of him. He graduated this summer. I know when we recruited, we promised his family he's going to graduate from Louisiana State University as the number one object of all our players. He did that. He started for us at Nichols. I named him team captain for the week. He's done a tremendous job. He's a great young man. We're very proud of him.
And I apologize if I missed this earlier, but what's Sage Ryan's status at the moment?
Say it again?
What's Sage Ryan's status?
Yeah, Sage has been unavailable, just a little nagging injury. We think that he's going to start, I know he's going to start practicing today, and we're going to see how he can practice throughout the week. He may become available this week. We're not sure yet.
Hey, Coach Jared again. You mentioned Mason Smith earlier. He and Jaquelin Roy both seem like they've really started the season strong. What can you say about the performance of those two, particularly when they're together in the middle?
Yeah, proud of them. Recruited both of them. It was a hard battle. Both of them from the state of Louisiana. They decided to fight for Louisiana. I love them. They're both great young men. Jaquelin Roy has gotten in good shape. He's learned how to play at this level. He's a dominant force inside, big physical guy, LSU defensive lineman. Mason had no problem adjusting. He's done a tremendous job. He's a great pass rusher. He needs to work on his run defense a little bit more. Both of them will be outstanding players. Thank you, guys. Go Tigers.
All right, Justin, you can.
There you have head coach Ed Ogeron for this week's Coach O press conference presented by Hancock Whitney. We'll close things up and we'll set the schedule for the rest of the week as the Tigers get set to host the Chippewas of Central Michigan this coming Saturday night. We'll do that right after this. Support your LSU Tigers with Hancock Whitney, the official bank of LSU athletics. From game day to the offseason, Hancock Whitney LSU credit and debit cards are a big win for any Tiger fan. Want to get your paws on these cards? Well, apply online or visit HancockWhitney.com/LSU. Hancock Whitney Bank, member FDIC. All accounts subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions may apply.
Our Lady of the Lake, just like LSU, is anchored by deep roots put down almost a century ago. We share a singular vision to advance health, education, and research to serve the incredible people of Louisiana. Our partnership with LSU is inspired by our passions for knowledge and our commitments to our community and healthy Louisiana families. Together, there's nowhere we can't go. Our Lady of the Lake is proud to be the healthcare provider of LSU athletics.
He's got a seam. He's down the near side hash. Tiger fans, if you've ever wanted to listen to the LSU Sports Radio Network while watching your Fighting Tigers on TV, now you can, and it's easy to do.
Just pause the TV. Use the LSU Sports mobile app to stream the audio on your smartphone or tablet. Connect to a smart speaker, then wait for the audio to catch up to the point your TV is paused. Push play, and you are all set.
Watch the Tigers and listen with the LSU Sports Radio Network and the LSU Sports mobile app.
15-10-5, touchdown! Tigers!
It's time we all get back. It's time we all get back to more. More one-of-a-kind Saturdays. More rockin' jam-packed stadiums. More of what makes the mighty Southeastern Conference so much more. Team up with the SEC and learn more about the COVID-19 vaccination by going to GetVaccineAnswers.org. The SEC backs the vax because it's time we all get back to more. Go to GetVaccineAnswers.org. The SEC. It just means more.
This is the Coach O press conference.
Coming up this Saturday, Tigers back in action via Tiger Stadium, Central Michigan. Coach Jim McElwain and the Chippewas come in. Kickoff just around 6:30. Of course, the media had their chance today. Your chance to talk to Coach O coming up on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. The Ed Ogeron Show live from TJ Ribs. That'll come your way. You can join us there at TJ Ribs, or you can call in or tweet a question for the coach at LSU Radio. Coming up this Saturday, we will have everything kicking off with our coverage beginning at 4:30 with LSU Game Day. Hunt Palmer, Garrett Brumfield, Marlon Favorite will get things started for us, and then Doug Morrow, Gordy Rush will join me for the call inside Tiger Stadium. Once again, Central Michigan and your LSU Fighting Tigers. Thanks to Gordy Rush. Thanks to you for joining us, and be back here next Monday for the Coach O press conference.